This field represents big moments, big challenges, and the need for a team you can trust.
At Holloway and Hulling, we understand what's at stake. We are your advocates in Missoula and Western Montana.
We provide clear, result-driven counsel for criminal defense and personal injury cases.
Our new downtown office is where we turn that strategy into action.
Holloway and Hulling, your advocates for justice and a proud Griz sponsor.
Thinking about selling your home in Missoula? Here's the truth. Buyers are still out there, but they're being picky. That means how you market your home matters more than ever. I'm Ty Hobbs with Hobbs Homes at Keller Williams, and my job is to make sure your listing stands out. From strategic pricing to professional marketing, stunning photography, and targeted advertising, I'll position your home to attract the right buyers and get you the best price possible. In today's market, it's not just about putting a sign in the yard, it's about telling your home story, creating urgency, and negotiating every dollar in your favor. If you've been on the fence about selling, now's the time to talk strategy. Let's see what your home could sell for and how we can make it happen.
This is like the ghost of Christmas past, except for it's the ghost of Grizzly past. And I'm not just talking about how Andrew is, a former washed up Griz running back, but this is something I've thought about for a really long time. And that is that, and the entry point to this was actually just covering the Lady Griz. That was my first job when I worked at newspapers. And you were always talking about the ghost of Robin Selvig's past, because he had so much crazy success in the 80s and the 90s, and he was still very good when I was covering him. But it was like, when are you going to start winning NCAA tournament games again, like you were in the 90s and selling it out? But that's become then like this omnipresent narrative for the Griz athletic department, analyzing the Griz in the here and now compared to themselves and their recent history, but then also compared to the broad history as well. So that's all to say, here we are with Talkin Schmidt, and there's this interesting dynamic going on in Griz Nation right now, because on one hand, the Griz are 7-0 for the first time since 2009, the 8th time in their program's proud history. And on the other hand, especially if you watch these games with a critical eye, there's some massive, I think just a couple, but a couple massive weaknesses. So where do you want to start today? I know you got a lot to say, buddy. Good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to say, Colter. We might as well get into it. One second.
Storm. Right off the bat, let's go.
All right, Colter. I said everyone get back to me with reaching out to me. We have so much to get into, so I might as well get into it now. Samsonite says several things can be true. The Zach Cruz thing is still a thing. Most of the Missoula recruits went with him, and so naturally the Sentinel kids are going to the Cats. Understand that. There's more to talk about there. Related issue, we all know that the asshole Bobby persona, talking heads say about him and Peas and Germer are assholes. What Gen Z wants to play for that? I don't know. You'd have to ask a Gen Z. In today's college football, I'd rather take a chance on a transfer than spend time on a project. Yeah, we can talk about that, but I think that's what they're doing. And let's call a spade a spade. The Griz are kicking the ass in in-state recruiting.
Boomtown!
Chase says Jacob Anderson knows on Oregon State's roster. Guy knows his dad. Told him the same thing. Basically, Hauck said, if you want to come here, you can come here, but I'm not going to kiss your ass. Will says, I totally agree with you in regards to in-state recruiting. A terrible high school football player can still be contacted at least. He was a terrible football player. The Griz at least sent him letters. The Cats sent nothing. So the Griz are not doing that now. Brad says, Cade Robinson isn't any good. I don't know if I agree with that. Michael says, I don't disagree with anything that you said. My question is whether we're not developing players. Look how quickly Eck reestablished Idaho. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we're not developing players. We'll get to more of that in a second. Part statement, part question. Are there deficiencies recruiting issues, or are they weight training? Yeah, weight training is another thing. Sean Heron knows his shit. The Cats have a good strength coach. I'm not sure we have a great strength coach.
Boomtown!
He says, let's go Griz as well. Remy says, inform me Cooper Pelk has got an offer from the Cats, not from the Griz. Joel Chipman says, great work on the podcast. We got Dawson Hammond, so that's good. Last year, he was at the Cat game in Bozeman, and Rylan Ort came out with an old school Griz starter coat that said Griz Slayer that Choate sent to him. Was another guy that UM expected to show up this whole life in Missoula, and he went to all the camps, and they didn't recruit him. We have a legacy dad that says, your boy Schmitty is a fucking savage. Last night I watched an hour-long video of him ripping the Griz for lack of high school recruiting efforts. Holy fuck. He said all the shit that everyone is afraid to say. From a Bobcat Booster, the podcast was great. I now love him. Tell him to stop talking about UM's recruiting advantage. It's our biggest advantage. Or recruiting, it's our biggest advantage. LOL. Brown Bear says, I hate the Cats as much as the next person. Former Cat players Cat players who made big contributions. Greavy, Malott, Jones, Orr, Weir, Dowlers. If you are a Grizz fan, are you satisfied with what Montana is doing recruiting? We're Montana Grizzlies, not Weber State. Wolf77. Well, we can argue about in-state versus out-of-state. We can have our highest GPAs on record or our football, something that we pride ourselves in. Also said we're not getting DUIs. So that's what we're doing now. Instead of winning games and championships, we're talking about GPAs and DUIs. Good job. Who else has contacted me? Well, Palmer says, dude, Talkin Schmidt is absolutely hilarious. It's one of the greatest podcast segments. No bullshit. Issues Grizz fans hate being told, and they are the best at everything. UM has gotten lazy across all facets.
Boomtown!
And a special shout out to Jack Manning, who wanted a breakdown of who the Cats all-conference players are from Montana. We listed 7 of them, and then he says, well, I haven't heard any of them. Good job, Jack. You don't know anything about football. Congratulations. And I think that's a good start for the Schmidt Storm. We'll get to a lot more of that in a second, but I need a drink of water after that. That is fast as 3 minutes. How does Chris Berman do that?
How does he do it? Rumbling, stumbling, bumbling. I know, it's amazing. It's not as easy to read on live television and or live podcast as people think. So.
Goodness gracious, I'm tired, Colter.
I don't even know. Where do we want to start? So those that haven't been following along, last week we did about 45 of our 50-minute show on the in-state recruiting battle and lack of a battle, because Montana State has been basically just having their way, but also mostly just having their pick of the litter, because Montana just has been going in on either the wrong guys or not guys at all, like just letting some of these guys just go the way of Montana State. And I do think there's a lot of nuance to it, but I think that there's a lot of validity to, obviously, to what you've been saying and what I've been affirming. So,
well, yeah, I mean, and by the way, so you guys know this, Colter gets accused of being a Cat fan quite frequently. And Colter's not a Cat fan, okay? I went to school with Colter, all right? He's a Montana Grizzly, all right? But when he is critical of the Cats, or of the Griz, for some reason he gets called a Cat fan, but when I am critical of the Griz, I'm not. I don't get it. I I don't understand it, but something that I want everyone to know, that Colter is getting like, hey, you're just saying this to Schmidt because you're a Cat fan. No, he's saying this because since Bobby came back, Montana is 62-34, and the Cats are 72-21. The Cats are 4-2 against the Griz, and they have like a 70% win rate on in-state recruits. Like, can we just call a spade a spade? Like, the Griz are sucking ass at in-state recruiting. The guys they're getting are not very good, and the guys the Cats are getting are becoming all-conference selections. Like, do you guys not get it? Like, do you not get it? The Griz can have the in-state recruits and the out-of-state recruits. We can have it. We should not lose a recruit ever with the facilities that we have. And the fact that we are getting beat on guys, okay, fine. You lose a battle, heads-up battle, fine. The fact that you're not trying for guys that are becoming all-conference, all-American, and then we could have had those guys if we actually fucking tried, that's the issue. Like, that is the issue. So I don't want to hear any of this. You're just saying this because you love the other team. No, take a look at yourself and realize what you're doing wrong and do it better. Okay? Because this Grizzly, we don't need to do anything, everything's fine, is such utter horseshit. If we were doing everything fine, we would be where North Dakota State is. We're not doing everything fine. So shut up and try to fix the problem. Be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
Shine Beer Sanctuary is leading the charge when it comes to promoting beer culture in Montana. Located at the corner of Church and Main and downtown Bozeman, the locally owned and operated tap house and bottle shop has the best beer selection in the Treasure State. The bar has 32 rotating beers on tap with everything from Duvel to local ciders, gluten-free beers, and non-alcoholic options. The bottle shop has more than 400 beer offerings from all over the world, and Shine offers Cicerone-trained beer guides. Come enjoy beer heaven at Shine Beer Sanctuary in Bozeman.
That to me is the thing that we're arguing, is that if you on either side of the rivalry, you're both chasing each other and pushing each other, but you're also both chasing this unbelievable juggernaut that's won 10 out of the last 13 national championships. And as you were saying when we were texting last week, if you're a Griz person and you are sitting here thinking, okay, what could get us over the top? Because I know that everybody has been resting their laurels so much on the run in 2023. And it's a great run. They won the Big Sky Championship. They went to the national championship. Good job. But that's the outlier of the last 8 seasons, not the norm, right? Like, because I heard from multiple Cat people that said, well, what the hell have the Cats gotten out of the in-state recruiting battle? Well, they've been to the semifinals every year except for one since 2019. The Griz have been once. The Cats have been to 2 national championships. That's twice as many as the Griz have been to. The Cats have won 3 Big Sky titles. That's 3 times as many as the Griz have won. So if you're asking what they're getting, they're not getting over the top against North Dakota State, but they're still getting an opportunity to be in the same mix as North Dakota State year in and year out. And that's where the Griz need to be. And that was your point last week, is what's the elusive thing? If you take these 6 or 7 all-conference players that play at Montana State and instead put them on Montana, don't you think that'd be worth a couple more wins and a couple more Big Sky Conference championships and a couple more rivalry wins?
Probably, and probably would have a chance against North Dakota State in a championship game. Like, you probably would be a lot more comfortable in where you're at as a team. I'm not comfortable at the moment. So yeah, I mean, and guys, a little aside, and I hate the Cats. Cats should have won that championship last year. They were the better team. Okay. They got out game planned really in the first half, and then they were catching up and they ran out of time. Okay. That's how they lost that championship. They ran out of time. If there was another quarter, they would have won by 2 touchdowns. So, like, stop with the what have they won. They should have won the freaking national championship last year.
With a bunch of guys as their leader. As their leaders in the clubhouse.
And if they didn't lose some good offensive linemen that transferred to Power 4 schools and Sebastian Valdez, they probably would have won it. Even like they wouldn't have ran out of time. They would have won it handily. Like, so that's what we're chasing. And for you to say everything is fine, we're sitting in this room, everything's fine, we're getting the right players. I'd rather have Eli Gilman than Adam Jones. Okay, all right. Sure, maybe there's not enough. There's only one ball, okay? But all those other guys on the Cats who are good, you probably want them. You probably want all of them. And you can have all of your guys that you have, your Elijah Tolberts, your whoever, Caleb Bonlewski's, you can have your whatever transfers you want. And then you can also have your Montana kids. And the fact that you're not trying there is a problem. It's a problem. And you guys not realizing that and you putting your head in the sand is awful. Grow up and see that there's a problem. Okay?
And the number one thing you got to, I think that they could do to just sort of ease the optics and the reaction to the optics of this is starting with the guys that are from right down the road. Like, I look at Florence, for example. I said this last week, but I'll reemphasize it. I know Florence is just Class B, but they won 3 straight state championships. They're the first team to ever win 3 straight state titles. And they also then went to the semis the next year after that. So they had a good core of guys. and they had a whole bunch of guys that were Division I caliber, and including Patrick Duchesne, who, if things go how they want it to go, he could be the starting quarterback at Montana State someday in the future. I'm not going to say soon because he's only a redshirt freshman, and I do think he's probably a couple more years. And they have Justin Lampson for at least this year and next year. But like the fact that they didn't even touch that guy, that's the crazy part, right? Like
he's in your backyard.
Like you just have to drive 15 miles to go see him.
Yeah. You could have visits with him all the time, like an in-house visit. Like, I don't get it. Do you remember when I distinctly remember like a few dynasties in college football. One was Southern Cal, all right, when Reggie Bush and Lendell White and that whole Pete Carroll era was there. And I remember University of Miami, especially in the early 90s, okay, late 80s, early 90s. You know what those two have in common? I can't vouch for what Alabama was doing, but I know what those two were doing because they said the same story. They both said that they were going to set up a wall around where they were, and they were not going to let any recruits out of that area. So Southern Cal's like, California, we're going to get every California recruit, everyone. They're not going to go to Stanford. They're not going to go to Cal. They're not going to go to wherever. They're going to come to USC. Miami said the same thing. We're going to put up a wall around Florida. They're not going to go Florida State. They're not going to go Florida. They're going to go to University of Miami. And you know what happened? They won the national championship. Okay? They protected their backyard. And when you have talent in that area, you recruit that first. So, like, I don't want to keep droning on about this, but it is clearly a problem. And there's a few of you who need to be told, and I just want to shake you and say, guys, this is the problem. This is why we're not where we are, and we need to do better at it. And instead, you're like in a cult, and I can't tell you anything.
It's so true. I was just talking about this with Ben Wyman. We were recording one of my radio segments for the week. Ben is he's the head news anchor at ABC Fox Montana, but he used to be a sports reporter, so he knows very much about sports. And we were analyzing this exact dynamic because he's not from Montana. He's just been in this sort of sphere for the last 10 or 12 years. But as Ben was saying, he was saying that to him, it is very clear as he sits now, he's a retired sports reporter. So now he's actually just a guy that goes to Griz games and has a good time. And he's a big Griz fan now because that's what you do when you're in Missoula and you like sports and you get into it, right? So he was like, I sit there and I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I look around and all these people don't acknowledge the battle that's happening in state, not just at a football level, but as an academic institution and all these different things. Montana State has outpaced Montana basically across the board. But the Griz act like it's 1999 still, and that there's nothing to worry about, particularly the Cats. We would never worry about the Cats. Whereas then the Griz or the Bobcats are how they have been since there's only one thing to worry about, and that was the Griz. And it's so ironic because the Griz being the big brother and the Cats being the little brother, for all of the time that was the occurrence, for like 30 years in a row, it made everything move forward linearly, both sides. Since it's flipped, it's actually detrimental to both sides. Like the Cats will have never arrived until they acknowledge that they are no longer the little brother of the Griz, regardless if you believe they are or not. But also the Griz will never reascend until they realize, oh my gosh, the number one thing we got to take care of is stop getting our asses kicked by these guys first. Then we can move on to chasing national championships, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. There's a list of 4 things, like a board. I think it still exists. And it's your 4 goals. And it's get your degree, beat state, win the Big Sky Championship, win the national championship. And did we just forget about the second one? Like, we think that's just like guaranteed. That's our birthright because we're Montana. You actually have to work at these things. Like what we are right now is like a civilization in decline. We are Rome when it turned Christian, right? We are the fall of the Byzantine Empire. Like that's who we are right now. until we realize that we need to get better. And to think that we're just like playing the violin as Rome burns, right, is foolish. It is completely foolish. And you should be wanting to beat state in absolutely everything, from enrollment to facilities to buildings to degrees to whatever. You should want to beat them in absolutely everything. And until you recognize that you are not currently beating them, it's a problem for the university. Enough with the people putting their head in the sand. And as soon as we talk football here, which we will, it's just par for the course. It's just these people who are just completely oblivious, who are living in a different reality, who think that we're fine. Everything's fine. You can say, hey, things are fine right now, but we always want to be better. And that idea that you're going to sit fat and happy really bothers me. Really bothers me. You should want to get better at everything all the time.
The last thing I'll say, just to have an element of fairness here, is that the Griz, I think the Griz deep down, I think that internally they know this. They know that they have let some guys get away and maybe that they have had a flawed procedure. I think the fact that they're playing so much differently offensively shows me that they were aware that they had a flawed procedure last year, like just in terms of the functionality of their coaching staff and the play calling and stuff like that. And you wonder if that same thing's happening when it comes to recruiting, because last year the Griz the Cats signed 10 dudes and the Griz only signed 3 for Montana. And the Griz guys were all like project type of guys. You know, one kid was from like Culbertson, like an 8-man guy, whereas the Griz side, or the Bobcats signed a bunch of the headliner guys. Now the Bobcats have some headliner guys, but so do the Griz. Like Evan Pyron from Hellgate, great example. That guy, he got recruited by UC Davis and Montana State, but he's from Hellgate. His mom played for the Lady Griz, and guess what? They went after him and they got him. So maybe it is.
Thank God they actually did something.
Right. And like it is a turning point though. Like Wesley Arrett from Belgrade. Guess who his dad is?
Yeah, Junior. I actually texted Junior about that. Fun fact: Junior's first high school or first coaching job was assistant high school football coach for the Bozeman Hawks in 2003, the team my senior year. And Junior actually dated my best friend's sister for a little bit. So I've known Junior forever. My mom did a story on him. Great dude. Glad to see that his son is a Griz. I would caution. I haven't talked to him about it. I sent him one text. I would think that Junior thinks of this as a business, and you make the best business decision for you. So I don't know what his kid's thought process is, but Junior was at Eastern Washington and Boise and Washington and Oregon, and he's a guy. He went to Oregon State before he went to the Cats, right? So he was at Oregon for all this time. So I don't think he thinks of it that way. I think he thinks of it, kind of what it is. It's a business, and it's a thing to take advantage of your best opportunity. But I'm glad Junior's kid is with us. I love Junior. He's one of my favorite people.
So it's all to say that Montana has 15 guys committed for the next class, including 7 of them that are from Montana, and several of those guys were getting recruited by both sides of the rivalry. So maybe
thank God. Thank God. Thank Christ. Maybe they'll try a little harder. My goal here is to shame Bobby into better behavior. Okay. And I think it is pretty clear that after I shamed him for his presser with Frank's question, and he changed his attitude towards Frank, that I can make Bobby do anything. So if you guys want me to shame Bobby into doing something, my DMs are now open. You guys sent me a bunch of them. I got to maybe half of what you guys sent me in that segment. Let me know. Let me know what I can do to get Bobby to do something differently.
At Holloway and Hulling, we deliver the results that Griz fans deserve. If you've been charged with a criminal offense or a DUI, we will fight to defend your rights.
If you've been injured in an accident, we have the offense to get you the compensation you deserve.
Choose the right team. Choose Holloway and Hulling for proven criminal defense and personal injury legal services. A proud partner of Grizzly Athletics. Visit us soon at our new downtown location or check out our website for more information.
Ace litigator Andrew Schmidt on Talkin Schmidt. It's probably presented by Ace Litigators at Holloway and Hulling. Holloway and Hulling, experts in criminal defense that are well-versed in Montana law and have extensive experience in handling a wide range of cases, from DUIs to drug offenses to serious felonies. Holloway and Hulling, dedicated to crafting strong defensive strategies tailored to your specific situations, ensuring that your voice is heard and your rights are upheld. Need any help with anything in the legal world? Call Holloway and Hulling, 406-880-7424, or visit montanalawyers.net.
Great golf partner too. Yeah.
Great golf partner.
Yeah.
He plays his vice balls and they all end up on the fringe no matter what his approach shot is.
He drops them out of his pocket. I swear to God, he has a hole in his pocket and he drops them through the pant leg. That's what I would say, but he's fun. So if you guys want to go golfing with Nate,
he'll always walk with you too. If you want to,
he will.
He'll walk with you. He'll even jog behind the push cart from time.
That's right. That's right. It's his exercise. So yeah, do you want to talk actually football now? Like, let's get that off my chest. I feel like we've been doing this for another 30 minutes of me ranting. I'm going to get even more hate mail, but it's fine.
It's fine. Well, okay. So what did you think of last week? Like, this is
bad.
This is what I led with, right? Like, this is the juxtaposition of Griz Nation. On one hand, the Griz are 7-0. On the other hand, they struggled for the whole middle part of the game against Sacred Heart. How do you reconcile
it? I don't know what they were. It was like the first quarter and the fourth quarter, they were very creative and trying to do different things. And it was working. And then the second and third quarter, it's like they were like, hey, we're not going to put it, we're up. We're not going to put anything on tape. They were bad. They just it was bad. And I'm kind of tired of the hey, they're a good opponent. Sacred Heart's not a good opponent. They were not any good. Watching back on the tape, I think that they were intent on stopping the run. So much so that they just decided not to defend the pass at all. It was pretty embarrassing. We could have probably scored 60, and the fact that we didn't, I thought was a little bit strange. But go back and watch the tape. Watch the Michael Wortham touchdowns. It's the same play. It's the same play, and they ran it out of different personnel. It was a wide receiver post to clear the guy out. There was Wortham running like a little fake screen and then go like a little wheel. Yep. And then there was a guy coming across in the flat. They didn't guard him both times. And I'm wondering in my head, and I put this in the text thread, like, what do you think's going on in Bobby's head, like over the headset? What do you think he's thinking when he hears that play get called again? Like, do you think he's laughing? Like, oh my God, this is funny. Like, they're not going to guard this again. Like, what do you think everyone else is like? Because typically you don't do that, like go back to something like that. And they did, it was wide open. And just like, well, if they're not going to defend it, I bet she was pretty comical for him. But I mean, go back, watch that fourth down play where we get stuffed. That was an RPO action, and he handed it off instead of throwing it. The pass was wide open. It would have been another touchdown. He had a bunch of guys, despite throwing 5 touchdowns, and he probably could have had 9. You know, like that pass defense was awful. And what is concerning is that, RPO, he makes the wrong read. They're trying to get the first down, and he could have had another touchdown throwing. The fact that you can't get Sacred Heart, you can't blow them off the ball with the offensive line to get a yard is concerning. Like, I don't know how many times I can say this. The offensive line is not good. They're just not.
Can I have a moment to rant on this?
Go ahead.
There is a variety of different ways to analyze things and criticize things, et cetera, right? And I have said multiple times that I think the Griz biggest weakness is the offensive line. And when people ask me why, I start with the simplicity of that they did not dominate the line of scrimmage against Sacred freaking Heart. That's where I start. But then I go deeper and deeper and say, okay, well, here on the line is who's performing okay. Here on the line who's not performing. And they say, well, how do you know that? And I say, well, first of all, I have 2 eyes that I've professionally trained to watch football for the last 19 years. I watched the games multiple times over. Well, but then how do you know? And then I say, well, how about this grading system that's existing in the world that has professional graders that grades all the film and grades every single performance and grades every single individual. And I say, well, here's the grades for the guys. And people still are saying, but how do you know?
Yeah, like,
but I'm going to come back around to say this. I watched the Montana State Idaho State game last night. Guess what I watched? I watched the Montana State offensive line blow Idaho State off the fucking ball.
Yeah.
Play in and play out to the tune of rushing for 394 yards, because that's what you do when you play an inferior team. You blow them off the ball and you run the ball down their throats, and that's what you do. And so that's the part that I'm just like, I can't believe that people are still blindly defending certain things, because from my personal opinion, this Griz team is one of the most fun teams I have covered. It's one of my favorite teams to watch. I give them so much credit for letting Ayat cook, for changing up the defensive or the offensive scheme, for leaning into their offensive identity, all that stuff. They deserve all the credit. There isn't a better offensive trio in the FCS than Kaylee Ayat, Eli Gilman, and Michael Wortham. There's not. That's the best offensive trio in the FCS. I criticize the offensive line because they got to be better on the offensive line if they want to get where they actually need to go, and that's the national championship.
Yep, they're not going to beat one of the Dakota State schools. I'm optimistic that they can beat the Cats because it's in Missoula, but their offensive line is going to have some fits with that defensive line. And if that game's like, if they get a Dakota school at home, okay, that's a little leveler there. But if they're in Nashville, they're not going to beat up on that defensive line. So it's an issue. And these people, this is the people with their head in the sand. The Pro Football Focus analytics for this stuff is what people base how good players are. Okay? Like, do you understand the people with the highest ratings typically get drafted and the people with low ratings don't? And Colter's here showing you they have low ratings. Our team has low ratings. And you're like, well, what do they know? Guys, do you want to make a bet that no one on our offensive line gets drafted, okay? And that the Cats probably have someone who does, or North Dakota State does, or South Dakota State does, okay? What do you guys need to see? Does it need to be 3 years from now where we go back and we show, hey, they were shit. We showed you they were shit. You didn't believe us. Then you go, oh, okay, yeah, but you don't know what you're talking about now. That's what you'll say in 3 years, right? So, stop. Again, I want to shake you people. I got this text earlier today, and it said, it says confidential, but I'll read it anyway. O-line is playing well, good pocket and pass pro, rushing yards consistently good. And that's supposed to be about our offensive line. Are you fucking high? Are you watching the same games that we're watching? That can't be from a coach or someone who knows ball. That cannot be. Then or they're just trolling you. Like that, there's no universe where you look at this offensive line and you say, oh man, they're good. Like they are not good. They're not. And that's, you know what? There's ways around that. And you can finagle it, and you can run screens and draws and trick plays and all sorts of stuff. You can get around it. But to say that they're good is bullshit. And you guys need to realize that, all right? We're going to have issues. We could probably win a game. But those Dakota schools, that's going to be tall order. Very tall order.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town Pump. Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula on Brook.
Okay, so to come to the middle back on this though, because I agree there is ways to mitigate it, and I actually think you took, because here's the other argument I've gotten is that how are the Grizz the number one offense in the Big Sky Conference, and how are they averaging 40 points per game, and how are they third in the league in rushing even with a bad offensive line? And I think part of that is a testament to the play calling, part of that's a testament to their quarterback, and part of that's a testament to their skill players. Like Gilman's rushing for 100 plus even without having great holes. So you credit where credit's due, certainly. But I also wonder if they continue to just lean into that, because it is a clear weakness.
Yeah.
So if they continue to lean into, though, mitigating the weakness by being explosive on offense, by throwing the ball down the field, by letting Ayat improvise, how far can they go with that formula? Like, how far can the improvisational, explosive way they're playing currently take them?
I mean, it could take them to the semifinals and the championship if they have a home game, right? I think this is kind of same thing I was saying earlier. Montana isn't just chasing like one thing or just, you can't have your head in the sand. You want to be the best at everything. And you're comparing yourself to not only the Cats or the Big Sky, but you're comparing yourself to the Dakota schools. And that's what you're chasing. Okay. And you cannot go and take a look at, remember when the year that North Dakota State had like 4 guys on their offensive line get drafted? It was like insane, the amount of talent that they got on their offensive line. Can you say the same thing about ours? You can't. You absolutely cannot. And so, like, all right, we don't have the offensive line. Fine. They need to scheme up things to help them out in the best way possible. And I think they are actually. Like, I think they see the same weakness that we saw 2 years ago in our quarterback. And they're like, all right, maybe he's not the best passer, but we can mitigate that. We can scheme up some stuff around that and make it work. And they did. And I think they're looking at it this year and being like, well, we have some issues there. We need to scheme up some things to make it work. But I'll tell you what, if it's 4th and 1 on the goal line against one of those Dakota schools or even the Cats, I'm not optimistic. You're not going to run the ball for a yard. You're not. You're absolutely not. You're going to have to hit a trick play or a Philly special or a play action or something, because you're not running the ball on them. Not with this offensive line.
I actually am glad you said that, because I was thinking about this the other day. North Dakota State is one of the great offensive line schools in the country, period. Like, I think that there's currently like 13 offensive linemen from North Dakota State in the NFL, including 7 guys that are starting NFL players, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's top 20 in the country, I bet, if you were to parse it out, even including the Power Fours and all the big schools and all that. So they are O-line U at North Dakota State. So what if the quest to be as good as they are on the offensive line is actually futile and not possible?
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Because what have the Cats become the last 6 years? North Dakota State light, right?
Right.
They're North Dakota State light. But what have they done in the playoffs every year? Lose to North Dakota State. Yeah. They lose to North Dakota State year in and year out. So what if the way to actually do it is to become Eastern Washington heavy?
Like, that's a fair point. It might be able to be done. I mean, it's again.
I've never told you this. Here's one of my theses that I think that there's so many reasons why North Dakota State's won 10 out of the last 13 national championships. One of the most underrated factors is that Eastern Washington was supposed to beat them multiple years in a row, but Eastern got home field advantage through the playoffs in both 2014 and 2016. And guess what happens in Cheney? It becomes colder than even Missoula or Bozeman in December. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden you're trying to throw the ball with your Southern California quarterback, Vernon Adams, all over the place, and he can't do it. So you lose to Illinois State and Towson and Youngstown State and these shitty teams that were never supposed to beat you. And we never got to see Cooper Kupp and Kendrick Bourne versus NDSU. But that was supposed to be the teams that beat them. And then we would have this whole different narrative around the entire FCS. So what if Montana could just be Eastern Washington heavy? Washington tight ends.
One of the ways to combat your offensive line and a defensive line that is destroying you is throw the ball over their heads, right? So, like, we could possibly do that. And there's tools that we have. Like, I don't want to come on here every week and sound so goddamn negative, but yeah, I mean, Wortham and Gilman and Davis and Ayat and Drew Deck and all these guys are very good. Josh Gale, and they can put up a lot of points, and they have been putting up a lot of points. I think they probably need to really lean into that, right? Because I know you want to try to run Gilman 20 times a game or something like that. That's not, you can't do that. That's not what your offensive line is. And if you're getting him 12 carries with a bunch of other stuff and he can get 100 yards off that, I think you're doing pretty good. But the focal point of just running the ball like it was in Bobby 1.0 is it's not possible, not with the personnel that we have, So yeah, I mean, I would like a few more Montana kids that are good offensive linemen on that offensive line. I'd like better offensive linemen so we can do whatever we want. But to your point, yeah, I mean, maybe we just go the Eastern Washington route and just have Ayat throw up the ball 50 times a game. It might work. It might.
You want to know what those Eastern Washington teams also had, though? NFL offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake Rogers got drafted. Michael Roos was an all-pro. Like, Aaron Neary played for the Broncos. Clay DeBoard was a guy that was in and out of the NFL. He had in and off of practice squads. And I don't know, man. We can harp on that deficiency forever, but But I mean, if you're not doing 7-step drops, right, and you're not doing stuff like that, in today's college football, right, you take a shotgun, you take a step back, you throw the ball. If you can do that sort of fun and gun type style, you can probably mitigate a lot of factors with your offensive line. I'm just telling you that, like, that fourth and I'll give you the example. The 4th and 1 on the goal line at in the national championship against South Dakota State that got stuffed because their defense was like the best defense in FCS history. That will happen every single time that we do it against one of those teams with this offensive line. That doesn't mean we can't win, but that's an issue. It's clearly an issue. It's clearly if you can't push Sacred Heart off the ball, you're not going to be able to do it to them. So, I mean, I think in the first and the fourth quarter, they did a good job with, like, hey, let's throw the ball, right? They're not defending it. Let's throw it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Hello, my name is Kelly Ayat, quarterback at the University of Montana. In the offseason, it's important to do everything you can to prepare for the season. In high school, that means funding your program. In my experience, Vertical Raise is the ultimate online fundraiser platform. Now broaden your reach of your fundraiser and bring in more money than other platforms. And there are no sneaky or hidden fees like other companies. If you're trying to raise money for your program, reach out to Vertical Raise today.
Yo, Tara, what up, E?
What's going on? Man, those are some nice medals.
Yeah, man, these are hard to come by.
Yeah, well, I've got 2 of them.
Well, that's nothing like going to March Madness, though.
We did go to a national championship.
Okay, guys, whatever. Let's just get on the Montana party bus and head over to Press Box for lunch.
Yeah.
Nuanez now and Skyline Sports, covering Montana athletics and the Big Sky Conference better than anybody. The Montana Party Bus and the Press Box are also proud supporters of Montana athletes.
Hey, cheers to you guys, man. Cheers to Montana. Cheers to chasing more championships.
I guess the other part that I would add to this, and then we can actually talk about the Sac State Smack Talk Festival that's going.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
But this podcast network has said for basically since me and you were in college that the Griz offensive front has not been up to snuff. Mm-hmm. So I think people think that it's just something that we rely on as a crutch. But the thing I would say that is the most concerning thing to me about the Griz offensive line is not that they can't knock Sacred Heart off the ball or even Idaho State off the ball. It's that they are nowhere as close to as good as they were 2 years ago on the offensive line. And that offensive line was not good enough. No. That offensive line, like if you had AJ Forbes and Chris Walker and Brandon Casey right now, you would be in heaven compared to what they have currently. And so that's
like, are they going to have an all conference, first or second team all conference guy on that offensive line?
I think Liam Brown will be I think he'll be in the mix for I think Liam Brown will be all conference. I think he'll be
so one.
like one. Yeah.
That's an issue.
In an inside zone scheme, you're having your guard be one of those guys is good. That's good. But
those individual awards are also team awards, right? So if you're if you're 11-1, 12-0, like you're going to get, your team's going to have a bunch of all conference dudes.
No question.
So it's just kind of the way it rolls. But look at the pro football grades. Not a lot of good grades out there. It's an issue, certainly.
Yep.
Cash One Pawn, Missoula's #1 pawn shop.
You want money? We got money. You need money? We got money. We're cash.
Do yourself a favor and make Cash One Pawn part of your online shopping habits. Cash One Pawn has an awesome online inventory, everything from firearms to power tools to speaker equipment to jewelry. Visit Cash One Pawn today.
Cash One Pawn.
8720 Roller Coaster Road, CashOnePawn.com.
Yep. Okay. Sac State talking all sorts of smack.
That's my job.
Yeah.
Like I said this on Twitter, or X if you prefer. How did Dr. Luke Wood get that job? Like,
it's wild.
I don't understand. I'm sure he has a PhD in something that's impressive, but he went into that interview and was himself, I'm sure. And the higher ups were like, that's the guy. We got to have that to lead our university. Like, Colter, can I be a university president?
I think anything goes at this point in time.
Like, I'm a troll sometimes, or a lot of the time. Like, I certainly should apply. Like, if that guy can get that job, I certainly can get a job as a university president. And I would put a gate around and recruit only people in my area first, and we'd have great enrollment because I'd drive all the students there, and then I would get on TV and wear a stupid necklace and then have the worst trash talk that I've ever heard that's just so completely lame. And then have the blowback from it. Like, I've never seen or heard a university president do this. It's like Bobby said, he's kind of a clown. I agree with that. I also think that it's pro wrestling. So, like, he knows what he's doing. He's trying to get people to watch his product. But tell your head coach to do that. You're the university president. Like, I don't understand how you can be that much of a child and be a university president. I don't get it.
And the lack of quality of the smack talking, but then the fact that it's still so effective is what's crazy, man. Like he's literally coming out and making blanket false statements that then people are glomming onto, and then they're doing his job for him. If his job is to be the hype master, like when he went on that Sac radio show and he's like, Grizz fans haven't been traveling well. It's like, that's objectively false. That's an untrue statement, but you said that to make Grizz people have rage and then do your job in promoting the game. He's winning across the board.
Well, yeah, trying to get attention. He's getting attention, right? I think he's doing, like, again, this does not make you a good university president. But he's doing a good job of being a wrestling promoter and getting people to pay attention to him. Okay. One thing about them, all right, is I saw that they had like 20,000 people or 15,000, or they had a big crowd. That when Bobby calls it a riot, it wasn't a riot after the game. It was, they had a few people fighting after the game that they caught on cameras. You guys know why the attendance is what it is? It's because after every game, they have a concert, a free concert for people to go to. So that was Dr. Luke Wood's idea. Hey, let's have a concert and then people will come to our games. And it's working. And it's working. You guys know who's playing after the Griz Sac State game on Friday? Quavo from the Migos. All right. I would go see Quavo. Like that's hey, I buy a ticket. If I'm a student, maybe I get in for free and to go see one of the members of the Migos. I would do that. That's so like I mean, good for him for getting people to get in the door. I think that's part of the problem with a lot of these schools. But I wonder how much money he's blowing through doing that. I also like those attendance figures. I wonder how many people are there for the concert and how many people are there for the game. Like half and half, maybe? I don't know.
Does this environment of vitriol that has been created this week on both sides, does it actually impact the game?
No. All it matters.
I've been hearing around Missoula like, oh, they poked the bear, Griz by a million.
Guys, if you're not motivated to win a game each week, and you need to be motivated by a university president calling you a panda, like we've got bigger issues here. Like
I don't know what probably made Bobby more mad though was getting called the JV.
Yeah. So like Bobby, here's the thing. I think that if Bobby wins this game and wins it convincingly, he's going to respond again. Like I'm pretty sure he will. And I'm very interested to see what he would do in that situation. So I hope the Grizz win by 21. And then we get some good questions in the presser. Like, were you guys extra motivated because of Dr. Luke Wood? And see what he says. But yeah, I mean, thing is, guys, everything is broken down for you. I've explained this on this pod before. Everything's broken down for you like on Monday. And so the game of football is like very analytical and very prep heavy. And you'll know what to do on every single situation before it even happens. And it's just going out and executing. Like you don't need to be angry. Like in high school, you'd listen to Metallica and stuff and get all pumped up for the game, run out there and try to hit someone. It's like, by the time you're in college, and especially when you're an upperclassman, like I would try to listen to things to calm down before games because like there's no sense in being so worked up. You've got so much stuff to try to remember and try to execute that you need to be calm and you need to be doing your thing. And if you're like, this university president called us a panda, I'm going to run out and hit him. I just don't see that from anyone ever. Like that's just not a thing.
I agree with you. I don't think it gives the players any more juice or motivation or anything like that. I just wonder about the coaching staff. And I don't I don't think he needs more motivation. I just wonder if he does, like if he says, okay, boys, we're gonna let it all hang out. None of this vanilla BS. We're gonna run everything from Wildcat to Philly special on down the line. And we're gonna do these exotic blitz. He's not gonna rotate. Like I just wonder if he just like says, all right, full send. Let's go December Grizz mode on Friday.
I think he'll try to do that, honestly. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'll let you guys know what I'm seeing on Twitter, right? If he's actually doing it. But like I think that if he can put his foot on the gas and not let up, he's gonna try to beat him by 50. Like he's gonna try to win by as much as he possibly can. And if you get to the fourth quarter and there's a run the clock out situation, I bet you he throws it to Corbin Hendricks on a streak and just try to score another touchdown. Like that's what I see happening. If that is a possibility, that's the motivation. Like I think he's going to try to stomp him if at all possible. It might not be possible. They might lose. It might be a close game. I don't know, but I think it's once he hears that, he's like, fuck these guys. I'm going to do everything I can to run it up. That's what I would do if I were him too.
Last thing here that I got to go, that's the funniest part about this whole thing to me is that there's this certain level of decorum and like etiquette that's expected. Like when we go to the Big Sky kickoff, for example, and it's all the coaches are there and all the players are there, et cetera. And there's sort of like this expectation, like even if that's your rival, you're going to be pretty cool with them. Like Vegan and Hababi played cards together and like they were hammering it up and whatever. And everybody's kind of in it and it's July and nobody's stressed out yet. And it's this fraternity and we're all more the same than we are different. And the players are hanging out and they're getting to know each other and all that stuff. Because of all the things that Luke Wood has said over the last year or so, and because of just this is the JV and we got to be varsity, and just the general attitude and the way that they operated at that Big Sky kickoff, where they didn't give anybody the time of day. Nobody did any of the interviews except for the ones they were required to do. Basically, the whole league is like, don't let the door hit you. Like, see you guys later. It's like 11 versus 1. Like, everybody in the conference is rooting for Montana on Friday night. That's a very uncustomary position for the Griz to be in.
I'm sure that all of those coaches that you mentioned probably texted Bobby and probably said, go kick the shit out of them this week. Like, yeah, it is a strange position to be in. But like, little inside baseball, by the way, it reminded me when you said this, there's like a signal that coaches do. This is like that fraternity thing in that decorum, right? It's called like the T-bar. And it's like relatively new, but they, put their arms out T, and it's like to signal that they're not going to do an effort on the play. Like it's usually when it's supposed to be because of an injury, and that's when they started doing it. So I think it was like last year, it was Brett Bielema did it to the other sideline to let them know they weren't going to return a punt. They were going to fair catch it. And the like gunner ran down there and just drilled the dude and injured him. So then like, Illinois like scores late in the game, and then Bielema does the T-bar back at the other sideline just to like try to start a fight. That's the type of thing that, coaches typically don't do, but there's like this, hey, they're not going to try on this play, right? We need to make sure that we take care of them because no one wants to get hurt here. If their coach does the T-bar this week to Bobby, I guarantee you Bobby's going to say, fuck that guy. And he's going to say, I had 11 or 10 other coaches text me. We're not going to go easy on you at all because fuck you, basically. I would anticipate that.
That's the other funniest part is that there's been this narrative, and the Griz Fan podcast have been promoting it, basically saying, okay, Sac State should go try to make this run at it because what's the worst that could happen? They just come crawling back to the Big Sky, right? Like through 3-4 years, they come back. That's the thing as well, though. Brandon Marion ain't going to be there. Like, if this doesn't work, he will leave. Like, he is there to make this thing become FBS. And if they don't go FBS and it doesn't work, he's going to be out. And so you can treat him however you want because he's not part of this fraternity. He's never going to be a part of it.
And all those players are going to be gone too. So, like,
exactly.
Like if you mess up one of their players, it's not like they're going to be playing you next year. So, like, yeah, I get the sense. And by the way, if you watch some Sac State games, their players are, how should I say this? Reckless with the amount of extracurricular activities that they do and shit talking, but also flags, unnecessary roughness, personal fouls, stuff like that. I imagine that Bobby is going to have his guys ready to go. And I imagine that if they try that shit, that this game will get pretty chippy in a hurry. That's what I would say. And I don't think Bobby's going to call the dogs off at any moment in time. If he can, like, if it's a tight game, cool. But if it's out of hand, he's not going to tell the players to stop. I don't get that sense.
Me neither. Griz by a million. Talkin Schmidt with Andrew Schmidt here on the Big Sky Breakdown podcast series. Proudly presented by Holloway and Hulling. Visit montanalawyers.net for all of your legal needs. Andrew, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.